Hello world, Alexandre Buckley here, and let's talk games. So we're going back to the PlayStation 1 again and going through the classic games. And by classic games, these are games I think you should have played, checked out. These are games that sort of defined my childhood. And I've got another platform for you today. It's Disney's Hercules, the action-adventure game. Oh, how I loved this game. This game was mad. And do you know what I love most about it? It's looking back on it, you can see how dated it is. It's so dated, but just I remember this being so mind-blowing at the actual time. It was just great. I just loved this game so much. It was so much fun, basically. So this was a tie-in to the actual movie Disney's Hercules, which, you know what, I'm going to just throw this out here. One of the most underrated Disney films of all time. Good fun game. Can't really criticize it too much. It's it does a good job of telling you Greek mythology. It does take a few liberties with the story, but awesome soundtrack, awesome songs, and the game itself. Boy, was this a good platformer. This game was better than it had any right to really be, and it holds up with some of the better platforms on the actual system. And I've played a lot of platformers, even modern platformers. I don't think they're as good as this, but I do remember Hercules being fairly challenging. And what was cool about this as well is it had clips from the movie, which I'm going to have to be very careful on YouTube not to get sort of flagged up for like piracy and all that rubbish, just in case. But yeah, so I might have to cut this bit out because they basically show you each level. They show you like the prelude to the movie, so what sets it up. So I'm probably going to edit that out so I don't get flagged up, basically. But yeah, the game was pretty sweet. It was really straightforward. You were a hero in training, looking to become a hero. So if you haven't seen Disney's Hercules, it's pretty straightforward. They just go over the Greek mythology story. Right, so you are Hercules. Hercules is basically this child that was born as a god. He gets kidnapped by Hades in the movie, of course. Spoilers. And they basically try to make him human and kill him, but it doesn't work. And they give him like a vial to like drain his like godly powers. He never finishes it, but he retains his like godlike strength. So he's basically just a demigod walking around on Earth. And as he's grown up, Hercules decides he wants to be like a hero. So you become a hero in training. That's pretty much the plot in a nutshell. And it works really well for a video game because obviously if you're a hero in training, you've got to build your way up and you've got to do all this. So in the movie, I think they have like a little montage where it takes like 10 to 15 minutes where he goes from being like an absolute nobody. There's a great song, there's a few funny animations, there's a few jokes, and the next thing you know, he's like hero. So that's pretty safe. But in the actual game, you're talking about 4 to 5 levels of him just scaling up and training and everything like that. So you had like a little movie clip and then the game just got on with it basically. But it was pretty good. So you basically had only a few moves from memory. You could jump, you could swing your sword. You had like a punching combo, so it looks like you're shadow boxing. I'm just trying to remember if I can work out the controls here. Yeah, X, square, circle, triangle. Doesn't. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, and that's basically it. And then a lot of this, which I really liked of the game, I really liked it fitted in. That is this idea that you would literally fight training models and dummies before real enemies. So real enemies were very few and far between in the early levels. There were some really, really annoying birds are made of like glass or stone. I don't even know what they're called, but they were super annoying and they'd fly down and attack you. But yeah, so getting into the gameplay itself, first of all, I think it just looks great considering the age of the game. It's amazing. It's a great platform. It clearly looks like the character. It clearly has got that Disney sort of look to it, which is incredible. I mean, yeah, it's pixelated as all heck, but it looks great. You can clearly tell who the characters are. They're a lot more detailed than the last game I did, which was Pandemonium. You can clearly see these character models a lot more. There's a lot of depth to the world as well, which you didn't get a lot in this sort of generation of game consoles and games. They were normally just quite flat scrolling titles, so the fact that you can move backwards and forwards in the environments was pretty cool. And the music in the background was great as well. It was from the movie, obviously, so if you like the movie, you've got an added benefit here of this awesome soundtrack that came sort of pre-built into the game. Although that being said, if you sucked at the game, you were going to be hearing the same song over and over again. And I think with the first levels, being a kid, I never really got past... I think I got maybe a third of the way in. I remember fighting the Hydra and being killed. For those of you that don't know, a Hydra is basically this mythical creature that if you cut its head off, it grows another head. So you kind of got screwed really quickly, because you keep cutting these heads off, then more heads would appear, more heads would appear. Just awesome. I'll tell you what, growing up as a kid, Greek mythology just kind of blew my mind, because it's just this insane world of heroes and monsters and stuff like that, and it's just the nuts, and it fitted so well for a video game. It fitted so well for a movie. So yeah. So as you can see, back to the game, because I'm getting distracted slightly as I'm trying to play this and tell you about Greek mythology. Very loose Greek mythology. I'm not an expert, so if I'm wrong on anything I've just said, which I don't think I am, but if I am, then apologies. But you have these crash test dummies. The idea is these would be like your makeshift bad guys they are in a film, and they'd have like a basic damsel in distress that you have to rescue, which is why after all these villains get defeated and cut up and sort of beaten, you have a sort of ragdoll dummy that you get as a reward. That's the idea, that you'd have saved a damsel, literally, so you get a damsel and you beat the enemies up. Makes sense? It's all good. Oh, little things like that as well, like which is really cool. You had things like Hercules. So in the movie, which I can't really tell you, can I? I don't want to spoil it. Basically, there's a lot of comedy in this movie to make the subject matter a little less heavy than it is. But without spoiling it, there's little drinks you can get and little dolls of Hercules that will give you power-ups. These are the birds I was talking about. I don't know what the heck they're made out of, but I remember them being absolutely the most annoying thing on the planet. They're still annoying now because they just don't go away, and they just fly at you and they attack you, and just they're the actual worst. Like, what are they made out of? Glass? Like, it looks like they're made out of stone. It's this weird, nondescript. These aren't in the movie either. These are just annoying, pixelated crap that you had to deal with in this game. And I hated these enemies more than the big bosses, because they were just, no, look how many you get. And they just keep flying low and low, and they just attack at you with evil red eyes. Just awful, awful, awful enemies. Look, they're still chasing me. They're chasing me. And then I've got a shark to deal with. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I hated these things. Absolutely hated them. Sorry. Passions getting involved now. So yeah. Yeah, they were super annoying. They were great. Try not to get killed by a shark as well as I do this bit of the level. But yeah, it was just good fun, this game. Really good platformer. There's a lot of things here that remind me of you can see how they borrowed from a lot of the other platformers of the day. Do you know what it reminds me of as well? Like this running across logs and then falling apart. The first time I saw that was on the Mega Drive on Sonic, so they borrowed a lot from that. This sort of scrolling, sort of jumping, collecting things reminds me a lot of Mario. So it's sort of like what they did for this game is they just looked at what was working on other platformers and they just took the best elements of them and then just put really good Disney intellectual property behind it to just try and make the game sell a bit better. And you know what? It works. For me, a fun game, a very simple game, but you could spend hours on this, and it actually gets very challenging very quickly. And that's one thing I remember about the PlayStation 1 in particular, is all the platformers. It's not like today, where you can select like a sort of easy, middle and hard type of difficulty, and even the medium is basically, you're going to finish the game. You know, it's like semi-challenging, but if you do it 2 or 3 times, you're going to get it. These games generally they just got to a point where they were like, you know what, if you can do this level, you can do the next level. They just assumed you had a certain ability level. And you just go, okay, fine, fair enough, I'll get on with that. But this game was just quality, and it was just good fun. I just appreciated that if you watched the film and you liked it, like I did, then that you just got more. You've got more sort of depth and insight into the story almost, because you can actually see this is the training world and this really plays into it. Because in the movie, for example, there's like 4 levels that make this up, but this would be the sort of background. You'd have seen like a snippet of this type of stuff in the movie in a montage, but you're now actually playing through the montage, so it actually felt like you were doing the training for Hercules and stuff. The only thing I would have said, which they didn't do in this game, which they missed the trick on, is when the movie starts, Hercules isn't quite a fully grown man. He's kind of like a bit smaller. This is like his final, he's become a godlike hero type thing. He's on the cusp of becoming a hero. When he's in this physical condition, he's like towards the end, his final form. He's like a small, scrawny young lad. It would have been good. The only thing, it's not too much of a criticism, but I'm just thinking, just in terms of detail, it would have been good as if when you were doing this in the game, they used that character model for these levels, the sort of younger ones. So then once you got past the training levels, you were then this character that's all sort of built up and hooked up. And that would have been like a little tiny bit of, you know, a little bit of extra detail that you would have been like, oh, okay, cool, they've put a lot more effort into this and they've made it just a little bit more of a polish. But yeah, I'm just struggling to work out how to get this. I remember this boulder has to go down the end, but I can't work out the controls of how to lift the boulder up. This is another thing that I miss from modern gaming now, is that if you got to a bit, so I've been playing a lot of on the PlayStation 4 South Park's which one are we playing? The Stick of Truth? Yeah, I'm playing that a lot. And essentially on that game, you get this a lot in modern games, it's just the only example I could think of now, is if you got stuck at a certain section, what they would do is they'd say, a character would be like, hey, maybe you should do X. Like, maybe if you pressed this and this, then you would be able to get past this bit. No, not in the old games, you had to just kind of work it out. And bearing in mind, in the old days, if you couldn't work this out, then that was basically your game done, because there were no game guides, you couldn't just go online and see someone on YouTube play through it and tell you exactly how to do it. But this game plays really well. I think it's held up really well. I think it looks visually great. It's very forgiving on the live, because I'm taking a lot of hits here and it doesn't seem to really matter. Compared to the other platform I played, which was Pandemonium. Yeah, I died a lot in Pandemonium in the first level. This one, I'm taking a lot of damage and it doesn't really seem to matter. The only thing I'd say about this game is the controls are a little bit unforgiving, that if you mess up even slightly, you're not going to get very far, which kind of sucks. So like there, I was trying to do the column thing, and if you got your timing slightly off, it just didn't give you any leeway on it at all. With Pandemonium, I could do the jump and they're like, you basically got there, so they just got you across. You had to get your timings just absolutely spot on, so it wasn't as forgiving. And I think this is an interesting conversation. I'd say the old school platforms are a lot more challenging. They're a lot harder than the modern ones. The only exception to that rule would be the new Crash Bandicoot series, which isn't new, it's just a remaster. But those games are pretty difficult. But I'd say all the other modern platformers, yeah, pretty easy in comparison to the old school classics. But yeah, this was just one of the best games on the actual platform. Loved it. I love it. I think if you have to be, first of all, you have to be a Disney fan, or you're not going anywhere near this. I can completely understand people now watching this going, I'm not into Disney, I'm not going to play this. Like, get out. But then, still failing on this last bit of this cliff. So that's the first thing. If you're a Disney fan, this is amazing. If you're not a Disney fan, I get it's a harder sell. Number two, if you're a fan of the movie, which is the second part, because you may be a Disney fan, but be like, I don't really dig Hercules. And I know a lot of people don't rate Hercules as a film. It's not one of the big ones that people talk about, which, more for you, because it's one of the better films in Disney's catalogue. But so if you're not a Hercules fan either, then again, this is a real hard sell as well. But if you get past all that, you are a Disney fan, you like platformers, you like Hercules, perfect game for you. It really is. And I just find the animation fascinating. Because it's kind of like the last game I sort of looked at the platform was Pandemonium. You could see they had very limited power to work with here, and yet somehow on the same console, yes, made it to the cliff. Sorry, I've been trying to do this for ages while doing commentary. Somehow they managed to squeeze out this extra little bit this bit of detail in it, and the world and the environment looks really good. I mean, yeah, it's pixelated, but you got to keep in mind what the console is. But like, you're able to actually go backward into the actual world. It's like there's depth to it. There's more to do in it, which is really impressive. And it's just really fascinating that, you know, on the same console you've got better graphics coming out of this. The one thing I did notice on this when it was loading the game is that it said something about it being a CD-ROM title. That may have something to do with it, because what it looks like this game was doing was playing a lot more of the sort of movie animations to do it. So maybe that's just a different way they process the game, and that's probably what it is. In fact, what I'm going to do, I might actually look this up quickly and find out, and then actually update this. But yeah, this game is surprisingly difficult. I know it looks like I'm failing, but it's stupidly hard. But that's gonna actually do it for this one. Complete the first level. Really enjoyed it. One of my favourite games on the console. I hope you liked it as well. So again, probably one for the Disney fans out there, for the younger audience. But as far as platforms go, this was excellent. Really enjoyed it. So that's going to do it for this one today, guys. If you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you wouldn't mind as well, can you please subscribe to the channel as well? It'd help me grow, and I'd really appreciate that. That's going to do it for this one, guys. So have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.